Congratulations to the graduating batch of Whistling Woods this year. I'm so pleased to be here and to see how all of you come out in the real world. This is a moment, I think, also to congratulate Subhashji and Whistling Wood for developing a center of excellence for media and the performing arts much before anybody had even thought of bringing structure to this creative industry. As all of you pass out after the last 2 years, which have been a time of immense trauma, difficulty and change for all of us, I'm sure there is a lot of trepidation in all your hearts. I tell you, don't look at it as a moment where there are immense challenges outside, but look at it as an inflection point of opportunity for all of you. It is said that creativity flourishes after a crisis. After all, Shakespeare wrote King Lear during the plague. And I think that's such an inflection point for all of you. Old paradigms have shattered, patterns have changed, our habits have evolved, and the way all of us were living our life on this planet was very different. And today, in this moment of change, there is an opportunity for each of you to see how to capitalize on this change and allow your creativity and the creativity for the entire industry to flourish. So take hold of those reins, and I'm sure all of you will do extremely well. But to do well in the real life, I think there are 2-3 lessons that I myself have learned and which I would like to share with all of you. And the first lesson is that change is a constant. Whether it happens in 5 years, in a decade, in a month or in a moment, but change will always happen. You would have heard in my introduction that I've spent 32 years in the media and entertainment industry. From a time there was just Doordarshan to the time where there is OTT. From the time that there were multiple newspapers and we got our information in the morning and only in the 9 p.m. news. Today, when news is at our fingertips, we know exactly what's happening in the world everywhere. From the time where there was no concept of digital to a time where we are going to see the metaverse sooner rather than later. So the lesson that I have learned in this huge, humongous change that has happened in the last 30 years of me running various media organizations, from TV to print to radio to setting up channels to digital, is that the only way you can cope with this change is to constantly learn and evolve. And to learn and evolve, the one thing we must all remember is to stay humble. To accept that there are many things we will not know, but that's okay. If we accept that we don't know, if we are willing to listen, we will learn. And I think that's the foremost lesson for all of us if we want to evolve. The second lesson I learned, and I've seen this across literally tens of thousands of executives, managers and CEOs who have worked with me, is that it's not the most talented or the most skilled who wins the battle. It's the one who shows the maximum perseverance. नन्ही चींटी जब दाना लेकर चढ़ती है, चढ़ती दीवारों से 100 बार फिसलती है। मन का विश्वास रगों में साहस भरता है, चढ़कर गिरना गिरकर चढ़ना ना अखरता है। आखिर उसकी मेहनत बेकार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वाले की हार नहीं होती। We learned this lesson many years ago in school, but I've seen this in real life. It's the ant who wins the battle of life because she doesn't give up. People who don't give up will win the race of life. So that's the second lesson for you. Perseverance. The third lesson is, and I've seen this again in this creative industry that you and I are part of, is that we tend to over-index on creativity and under-index on process, structure, discipline. So let me tell you, whether it is in advertising, whether it is in filmmaking, whether it is in writing a book, unless you are able to channel your creativity, unless you are able to put your creativity within a structure, unbounded creativity, unchanneled creativity rarely does well. So let's take advertising. All of us can say many things in as creative a manner possible if you have 10 minutes to say it in. But you have only 30 seconds. Can you be creative in those 30 seconds? I've run several radio stations, and all the time our RJs were taught that in that 1 minute link that you have, can you be relevant, can you be interesting, can you be enlightening, can you entertain? And you have only 1 minute to do it. And that calls for a lot of discipline, that calls for a lot of structure, that calls for a lot of internal habit change. Can I put my creativity within a grid? And only then, whether you're making a film or writing a book, you will succeed. The final lesson I want to leave with you is the fact that, all of us want to have everything in our life. We want to be rich and famous and marry well and have a beautiful house and travel and fulfill our inner potential, etc. I assure you that in an entire lifespan and career of 30-40 years, this will happen. You will get it. But it's not going to happen at the same time. And because it's not going to happen at the same time, you have to pick and choose. You have to learn to focus. You have to learn to be clear about what your purpose, what your goal at any moment is. If you are asked, what is that one goal that you're going to chase? I don't think there is clarity of purpose there. Be clear about that primary goal you want to chase. Let go, sacrifice the other goals. Be clear about your F1 and chase it. And if you have perseverance, if you are willing to learn, there is no way that you will not succeed. Finally, life, unfortunately, as you have seen it, the ecosystem, our environment, our parents have taught us that success is relative. But actually that's not true. Success is not what you are as compared to your neighbor or your sibling or your senior or your boss. Success has to be highly individual. Only you and you alone have the right to decide what scale you will measure your life against. And against that scale, only you have the right to decide whether you're succeeding, about to succeed, or failing. Nobody else has the right. So don't worry about what's happening with your peers. Don't worry about the jobs and the salaries and the houses they're building. You focus on your internal definition of success. And I'm sure you will flourish and succeed. And just as you flourish and succeed, so will the entire media community flourish and succeed. I wish you all the best once again, and I congratulate Whistling Woods for having the vision to develop an institute of excellence so we get more and more talented people such as yourself in this industry. Thank you.